MacBooks are widely considered to be pretty good laptops, and a big reason for that is that they all run macOS. But using this operating system that's supposedly so good comes with a price. That number turns a lot of people away. But as it turns out, it's still possible to run macOS, even if you don't have a Mac. Which is why I bought this laptop on eBay for about $120. It's a Dell Latitude 7310, it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM and an Intel 10th gen CPU. And even though I spent a fair amount of time making it one-hand openable when messing with the hinges, it is not a Mac. But that doesn't mean that you can't install macOS, so that's what I'm gonna do today. All right, time to get serious. Now, the way all of this works is actually incredibly confusing, which is why I'm going to try to do it in the simplest possible way. It all starts with OpenCore. The first thing we need to do is make the installer. Basically, we just need to make an installer USB that has all the drivers and stuff for our computer to work on macOS. That might sound simple, but it hardly ever is because there's always a lot of issues, and especially since we're going to be installing macOS 26. There is even more problems with this version. With that said, let's get started. Alright, so I originally did this part on my PC, but for some reason the voiceover was terrible, so here I am doing it again. The first thing you have to do is download this app called Mac Recovery X, and once you do that, all you have to do is open the app and select whatever version of macOS you want to install. So in this case, it's macOS 26. Now, while that's downloading, you have to grab a decently sized flash drive, probably 2 gigabytes or more usually works. So format that to FAT32, and then once your files are done downloading, you can copy the two base system files into a folder on the root of the USB drive that should be called com.apple.recovery.boot. So now that we've got the installer, it's time to come back down here and make the EFI. Basically, this is just adding all the drivers that will let the system boot from and run macOS. And I don't know about you, but personally, I'm too lazy to do that manually. So we're going to be using OpenCore Simplify, which is a tool that basically does it all for you. And personally, I really like to do this on Windows. I think it's easier, so I'm going to be using this USB drive to boot into Windows. Okay, looks like that's working pretty well. Actually, this is like taking hours, but that's because it's a USB 2.0 drive, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I guess I have to change the password for some reason. I didn't even realize there was one. It's just doing it for me. I don't even get to pick my password. I'm just trying to click on things and literally nothing is working. This has got to be one of the slowest Windows usages of my life. Well, I don't know why the web page is so messed up like this, but basically we just need to download the zip by going here and then download zip. And then all we need to do is extract it. And then in this folder, we're going to find opcoresimplified.bat, and we need to run that. Actually, wait, I need to run that as administrator. Once you let it go for a little bit, then you'll get to this point and you press 1 to select hardware report. And then since you're on Windows, you can just press E to export one. And as you can see, it's going to give you this report with all of your hardware in it and what it's supported up to in macOS versions. So everything here for me is supported up to macOS 26, except for Windows Hello Face software, which is these like IR sensors up here. And then you have to tell it which macOS version you're doing, which is 26 in this case. Now, depending on your hardware, you may get these options here. First, you need to choose the audio kex that you want. In this case, I'm gonna use Apple ALC because it's gonna be higher quality audio, even though you are gonna have to do a patch later, which I will show you. And then for your Wi-Fi, you might also get this choice. In this case, I'm gonna do Intel Airport ITLWM, which is basically just, it'll let you use the native Wi-Fi settings menu as opposed to a third-party app. Now, we just need to build the OpenCore EFI, so that is number 6. Just got to accept this first. And now we just let it cook. Do all the work for you. I really got no idea what this one means. I'm just going to press enter. But now, as you can see, there's a few more things we need to do, like mapping the USB ports. Which means we need this tool called USB Toolbox, and I'm just going to download the latest Windows file here. Okay, it looks like I've already done it for some reason, but I'm just going to show you how to do it. So I'm going to press D to discover ports. And then basically all you need to do is look at these and then plug something into each of the ports that you want to discover. But since there's like 4 ports on this thing, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to press select ports and build kext. So now, as you can see, the program has generated this kext file and we need to copy it. And we're going to put it in the EFI that we got from OpenCore Simplify. So if you go in the OpenCore Simplify folder, results, EFI, OC, kexts, and then you put it in here. And once you do that, now you delete utbdefault.kext. Cool, so pretty much we're all set. Before we can actually boot from the USB, there's one more thing we have to do, which involves this tool called Property. Basically, we just need to download this, and now we just have to run the bat file in here. I think I was supposed to run it as admin. And in this window, we need to go to File, Open, and then we need to actually find our file, which in this case is on my installer because I already moved it over, and then config.plist. Now, once you get here, you're gonna press Control R and just make sure that your OC folder is the thing selected. Press Select Folder, and then it's gonna update for you, and then you press Control S to save, and then you can close out. And now theoretically, we are ready to boot. Now to boot from our installer drive, the first thing we gotta do is turn on the computer, and then I'm gonna spam F12 to get to our boot menu. And now we can select our USB drive. Now you're probably gonna get some options like this. First thing you might have to do is press space to get more options to show here. And now you're gonna see reset NVRAM, which I'm just gonna do just to be safe. But then when it boots back up, make sure you spam F12 again and press space. And then this time we're gonna select recovery. And now you probably just have to let it sit for a while. But oh, it's doing something, that's good. Seems like it's working. And bang, here we have the Apple logo. This is a good sign. If you get here, you're probably doing pretty well. I mean, this is already kind of a cursed image, isn't it? It's a Dell laptop and we have the Apple logo on the screen. All right, so once you get to this screen, obviously select your language. And the first thing you probably want to do is go to disk utility just to be able to check all the partitions on your system. Now, personally, I've already made my 2 partitions. I already have my Linux partition and my macOS partition. If you haven't done this, you're gonna need to make it in like gparted or something. You can figure that out yourself. And then on your macOS partition, just press erase. And you can name it whatever you want and make sure it's in this format, APFS. All right, and now back on this screen, you're just gonna click on reinstall macOS Tahoe. Okay, Ethernet is the solution. Since we haven't done the thing to set up the Wi-Fi properly yet, you can't actually use that for a while. So I'm gonna use this dock attached to an Ethernet cable. And we should be able to actually do this now. And then we just kind of let it sit for a while. It says it's gonna take 3 hours and 19 minutes, but honestly, I think it was less last time I tried this. Now, at several points during the install, it is probably going to restart and you're going to have to manually boot it back into the macOS installer. As you can see, you'll have this option here, so it's a little different from the original installer part. When you do that, you'll probably just get a screen like this one, and you can just kind of let it sit again for a while. Okay, the boot option now says macOS instead of macOS installer, and I see a cursor. I think we're getting closer. Wait. This is it. This is macOS right here. We're in, basically. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna go through the setup now. Yeah, this is a new Mac right here. In my experience, you might get some weird errors on like steps like this, so my solution to that is just to restart the computer. It probably won't let you actually do that step, but we'll fix that later, hopefully. So as you can see, we are now technically in macOS, and you would think everything would now work, but of course, no. So you'll probably notice issues with the Wi-Fi, probably the audio, and any Apple services you try to use. And this is kind of new territory for me because I haven't really fixed these things yet, but I know it's possible, so let's find out how to do it. So to start off, I'm going to try and solve the 2 biggest problems, in my opinion, with this, which are the Wi-Fi and the audio. And to do that, we're going to need some root patches on this device, but the only version of this program, called OpenCore Legacy Patcher, that actually works on macOS 26 Tahoe, is the version that's made by the same guy that made OpenCore Simplify. Now, I haven't actually tried it, so I don't know if that's true, but let's see if we can get it to work. What do I get here? All right, so I'm gonna get OpenCore Patcher here. Oh, it didn't work. Thankfully, it seems like this person preserved it on a different repository, so we're gonna use that one. So we're gonna download OpenCore Patcher, like I wanted to before. At this point, I wasted some time downloading KDK, which is a thing that the program apparently downloads for you automatically, so just ignore this part. So we're actually in the patcher now. Let's go to post install root patch. File vault is enabled. Okay, let's fix that. Well, I guess this will probably be pretty simple to fix. And I'm pretty sure we have to wait a while for it to decrypt. Okay, decryption is now done, so let's try OpenCore Patcher again. Okay, networking, modern wireless, and modern audio. That is what we want. Start root patching. All right, supposedly it's done, so let's try rebooting and see if it works. All right, logged back in now. It's the moment of truth. Let's see if Wi-Fi will connect. And Wi-Fi networks do actually show up. So we can get rid of our Ethernet, which is kind of nice. Okay, well, for some reason the sound is enabled in the software, but no actual sound is coming out of the speakers. Apparently we have to edit the config.plist by changing the layout ID for our Apple ALC kext, which is what's running all the audio. Now, I don't really know what that means, but I do know how to do it. So first of all, you're gonna need to take your EFI folder and copy it onto your main hard drive. And the way you can do that is by mounting the EFI partition of your hard drive and the EFI partition of your flash drive, and then you kind of just copy it over in File Manager. For some reason, I had an unreasonably difficult time doing this because my flash drive was like not working, but once I switched to a different one, it was fine. I think maybe I found the problem from last time. Now, to deal with the audio thing more easily, I downloaded this program called Hackintool. All right, so for some reason, I completely lied on this next part, but the real way to do it is you go into the sound tab of Hackintool, and you're gonna see this list of supported codecs or supported layout IDs. And basically, these are the ones you need to try. So just go down the list until you find something that works for you. Well, it took some trial and error, but the speakers are now working. I mean, this is just a straight banger right here. So the last part of making this actually work like a Mac is being able to use Apple services like iMessage. So I'm also going to be voicing over this part because I think it could be helpful for some people, even though it didn't end up working for me. The idea is that you need to convince Apple that this is a real Mac, so you put in a fake serial number and a fake board ID, which you get using the script called GenSymbios, and you put it into your config.p list using proper tree. So once you open GenSymbios here and run it, you generate the Symbios using your model of Mac, which you can find in your config.p list, and then you take the information it generates and put it into your config.p list. For board serial, copy that, put it where it says MLB. Now make sure you press Command S to save your config.p list. Now once you do that, you have to restart and clear your NVRAM to make sure that it actually applies. And this is kind of where everything went downhill for me. In the past, this has always been enough to fix it, but for some reason in this case, it still wouldn't log in. Okay, the fact that this has taken so long is not looking good, so I'm pretty sure we'll have to do something else. All right, here's what I'm gonna say. I spent literally all day trying to get the iServices to work. Pretty much everything works except for FaceTime and iMessage for whatever reason. This is a functional Hackintosh where iMessage does work, so I cannot explain to you what the difference is between these two. There is an entire guide on this. As far as I can tell, I've done literally all of it, but for some reason it just doesn't want to work. But I would also like to finish this video, so if you end up in my situation, just like pray that it randomly fixes one day. Now, since it is a Hackintosh, I should note there's a few disclaimers. iPhone mirroring won't work. AirDrop won't work. I'm not sure whether you can do the thing where you have your iPad as a second display. I don't have an iPad. But other than that, you basically have a Mac. So even though this didn't go exactly as planned, I would say it was definitely a success. And I'll leave links to all the guides and tools I used in the description. Thanks for watching, and that's the video.